Title X and family planning and using U.S. taxpayer dollars for family planning at all. You're a former member of Congress. Maybe you can explain it to me, because I don't quite understand. Where in the Constitution does it say that the federal government needs to be involved in family planning?
Well, Graham, good point, but that might be why a report out last week shows that the fertility rate in the United States is at a 40-year low, and we're not even at a replacement rate. So, yeah, why should we be spending $285 million a year in total in terms of family planning? But this is a baby step in the right direction in terms of severing that forced partnership between taxpayers and abortion organizations like Planned Parenthood. About 60 million of these dollars go to organizations that perform abortions as well as family planning. Now, let me put this in historical context, Graham. What we're doing, simply reinstating a policy that Ronald Reagan had in place 30 years ago, and that was this, very simple. If you're going to do family planning and you're going to get federal money to do it, then you can't do abortions under the same roof or refer for abortion. So you can't be a feeder system for an abortion operation. That's all it was. And, of course, Bill Clinton took it down. George W. Bush wouldn't put it back up. And so finally we have a president that says, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We're not going to do this anymore. And so this is a step, a big step, I would say, in the right direction.
Right, and I want to make a point here about this partition that Planned Parenthood says they have. You know, between U.S. taxpayer dollars and you know, non-abortion related issues, and then the money that goes to provide abortion. This is nonsense. We all know that, right? There aren't separate accounts. This money is all being mixed. The Title X was being mixed in there, as well as the $500 million a year that my money is going to help fund Planned Parenthood. There is no partition.
Right. And money is fungible. Look, when you have under the same roof and you're doing family planning, all right, who pays for the receptionist, who pays for the furniture, who pays for the electric bill? I mean, look, it's fungible. And so this is just this is the co-location rule, simply saying if you're going to do abortions, then you're not going to get federal funding as it comes from Title X family planning. Now, you're free to do the family planning, but you can't do abortions as well. And as was pointed out, the amount of money going to family planning, which is another issue I think that can be argued as to whether or not we need to be spending that money. That money is not going to decrease in any form or fashion. It's just going to go to those organizations that do that and that alone.
Another feather in the cap from the Trump administration toward pro-life, telling states that, hey, you can do what you want regarding Medicaid dollars. You know, it was the Obama administration that threatened states, threatened prosecution of these states. No, now we have a dozen or so states saying, no, you know what, we're gonna pull back the funding to these abortion facilities, the Medicaid funding. So when you look at this picture overall, the trend from this president, the 44th president of the United States, and also the general psyche of this nation, are you hopeful and optimistic, as I am, that one day possibly this may be resolved in a way that goes to pro-life?
Without question, Graham, without question. What happened in 2010, when Barack Obama had begun pushing his rabid pro-abortion agenda, what happened is we saw the states pushing back. We saw a number of the states fall into the hands of Republicans and conservatives. And then in the last 9 years, last 8-9 years, we've seen more pro-life laws pass at the state level than the previous time since Roe v. Wade. So in the last 10 years, we've seen more than we did in the previous 30 years as it pertained to pro-life pieces of legislation. So the nation is moving in that direction, and we're only a justice away from, I think, overturning Roe v. Wade. And I think what happens then, we see that America once again becomes a predominantly pro-life nation, and this issue goes back to the states. And again, overwhelmingly, the vast majority of states are pro-life.
And that test case that could be going to the Supreme Court eventually could be out of Iowa, where they passed a very, very tough anti-abortion piece of legislation with the hope that one day it will go to the Supreme Court and reconcile all of this for our nation. Tony, thank you.